All right, everybody, welcome into the post-game show, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. We're just wrapping up Nuggets and Lakers. There is 20 seconds left to go in this game. Lots to get into here on the post-game show. I'm Dan Tanner, your Denver Nuggets Altitude Sports Radio's host for In the Paint, your Denver Nuggets post-game show. So, interesting game in Los Angeles tonight against the Lakers. Obviously, second game in a row with no Nikola Jokic, no Jamal Murray for the Denver Nuggets. And as we're just watching this game wrap up here, let's see, Vlatko that was Hunter Tyson, jammed a three, and it looks like they called a foul. There's about 10 seconds to go. The Nuggets are down 118 to 108. That'll be a loss for the Denver Nuggets. Okay, so I do want to start with the start of this basketball game for the Nuggets. Now, obviously, going back a couple of nights ago when the Nuggets shocked the Golden State Warriors in a victory in San Francisco, shorthanded, just like they were tonight. There were a lot of differences in tonight's game, a couple of similarities that I do want to kind of go over as we get rolling here in the post-game show. As always, feel free to leave your comments for me, and I'd love to get to some of those as we move along. How are you feeling about the Nuggets roster right now, the squad? How are we feeling about where this team is at? 13 games to go in the regular season. So this team's got, they've got a lot of time to hopefully get Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray right, but they don't have a lot of time to get the team right as a whole. And, look, tonight's game was a weird one because it was such an emotional victory on Monday night in Golden State that it just looked like this team was really, really sluggish out of the gate. In fact, the Lakers get out to a 14-2 start. Malone calls a timeout, and the Lakers never looked back at that point. Now, we're going to get into what Tim Bontemps had to say it was yesterday about Nikola Jokic not playing in these national TV games. He obviously doesn't play again tonight. This game was on ESPN, so another national TV game that Nikola Jokic has missed. By the way, Nikola Jokic has played the most regular season games of any player in the NBA since the 2016-17 season. So, but we do actually have a clip from our show on Altitude Sports Radio yesterday that I want to play for everybody listening. If you missed it, we had the Nuggets head coach Michael Malone on yesterday, and we didn't play the clip from Tim Bontemps on Get Up talking about how it's ridiculous that Nikola Jokic didn't play, but we did let him know that he said that. And Malone had a really funny and just a really good answer to that. So we're going to get to that in just a second here. But like I said, feel free to leave me your comments. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that the Nuggets can make a run at the NBA championship this year? It's really kind of hard to say right now, at least for me, because Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, even when they were playing over the last week or two, clearly just weren't right. Jamal Murray goes down with a really nasty ankle sprain in the Wizards game. I was at that game covering it, and I tell you what, I was sitting at the table at the top of the lower bowl, and it was on the side of the court that I was on. I'm telling you, I don't know if they showed it on television or if you were at the game, but I got a perfect view of that play, and Jamal was in a lot of pain. I was shocked that he was able to come back into that basketball game. So Nikola, I think, will be back sooner than later. Jamal's just a huge question mark. So before we get into that, just the game itself tonight, obviously the Nuggets last Wednesday, a week ago today, had the most embarrassing win of the Jokic era, is what I labeled it after that game. They barely eke out a victory over the Lakers B team. You had Bronny James getting in the first half. No Luka in that game, no LeBron, no Rui, no Jackson Hayes. So 4 of their 5 starters did not play in that game. The Nuggets barely eke out a victory in that one. And then the following game, they lose to the Washington Wizards. Actually, excuse me, it was Thursday, and then they played the Wizards Friday, I believe. And then they go to Golden State a couple of nights ago and have the best win of the season by far. So this team is just all over the place right now. They are very Jekyll and Hyde at the moment. And I don't think that's the best thing to be going on with 13 games to go in the regular season. You would like this team to heat up a little bit before the playoffs begin. But look, as far as the game tonight, what killed the Nuggets in this game was the turnovers and the inability to play any sort of defense in the first quarter. Luka Doncic had 20 points with 4 minutes and 23 seconds to go in the first quarter. They could not stop Luka whatsoever. And remember, he didn't play in Denver last week when the Lakers came to town to play the Nuggets, where the Nuggets barely beat the Lakers B team in that one. Luka was excellent in that first quarter. The Lakers scored 46 points in that first quarter. It was 46-29 after the first. I actually thought the Nuggets played much better after that first quarter, especially on the defensive end. But that was they just dug their hole way too deep at that point to dig themselves out. And the turnovers tonight for Denver were absolutely abysmal. I mean, what did they end up with total turnovers tonight? They only ended up with 18. And if you remember back to the last week's game against the Lakers in Denver, they had 20. So they had more turnovers in that game. It just felt like they had more in this game. Number one, because they all came in a relatively short amount of time. And the Lakers were just capitalizing like crazy off of turnovers. I don't know what the final number is, but I know at some point in the third quarter, the Lakers had 26 points off of Nuggets turnovers. So, and look, they end up losing this game 120-108. They lose this game by 12. The Lakers get minimum 26 points off the Nuggets turnovers. If you can cut that in half, you really had a shot. They really had a shot to win this game. But it was just really porous defense early. Nobody could make a shot. And then they started to get rolling a little bit. The second quarter was much better. They actually ended up winning that quarter 30-27. So they give up 19 fewer points in that second quarter. So really good job of the defense sort of hunkering down there in the second quarter. And then obviously the fourth quarter, they only give up 15, but the Lakers had their scrubs in for the most part at that point. So it's like kind of a moot point there. In fact, Bronny James ended up getting into the game. I tell you what, it is wild. If you're watching the game tonight, the crowd just starts erupting. And I'm like, oh, they must be giving out free T-shirts or something in the stands. No, Bronny James was checking into the game. And I tell you, I mentioned this when the Lakers came to town last week to play the Nuggets, and I was at the game at Ball Arena. The Lakers fans that were there, every time Bronny James touched the ball, they went nuts. So he's clearly a fan favorite there with Lakers fans. I don't really get it. I know he's LeBron's kid, but he's not a good basketball player at this point in his career. So it is definitely sort of an interesting dynamic there with the Lakers fans' relationship and love affair with Bronny James. That is definitely something that's interesting. But Christian Braun back tonight. He obviously was out a couple of nights ago in San Francisco when the Nuggets actually defeated the Warriors. He was pretty rusty tonight for the most part. He only took 6 shots. That's where you got to be like, Christian Braun, you've got to shoot the ball more, got to get to the rim more. The Nuggets need offense. When Nikola Jokic is not in this game and Jamal Murray's not in this game, they need their starters to really be aggressive on the offensive end. Michael Porter Jr., he only took 10 shots. That's not enough. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. should have put up a minimum of 20 shots in this basketball game tonight, minimum. And he got half of that. So, shot 5 for 10, just 1 of 5 from 3. I said this earlier on this year, And right after, Michael Porter Jr. had like the best 3-game stretch of the season where he scored 30 points or more 3 games in a row. It was right before he injured his hamstring, just before the All-Star break. But I basically said, I think at this point, it's safe to say that this Michael Porter Jr. that we're seeing this season is just who he is. I don't know how much extra room for growth there is for Michael Porter Jr. Now, it would be fantastic if he proved me wrong. And I know I've seen a lot of Nuggets fans talking about this as well. That would be excellent. But at this point, it just seems like Michael has really bumped up against his ceiling, unfortunately. The thing that's interesting about Michael is he's such a good outside shooter. He has one of the prettiest jump shots in the NBA. He's a better shooter than he's been so far this year, in my opinion. He's really struggling shooting the basketball right now. And with that, I think comes him struggling with his confidence. You could just tell that he is not a confident basketball player right now. So that's something I will also be looking for this last stretch of the season before the playoffs start. Can the Nuggets find a way to get Michael Porter Jr. going? He doesn't have to be a superstar. He just has to be good and consistent for the Denver Nuggets in order for them to really be able to compete for a title. That's what it's going to come down to this year for Michael Porter Jr. and the Denver Nuggets and their chances of winning a championship. If Michael can't average 20 points a game while shooting minimum 40% from 3, it's going to be extremely tough for the Nuggets to get out of the Western Conference, let alone win an NBA championship. The game tonight was just these young guys that they've got in there. I thought Spencer Jones played really hard again tonight. In fact, I really do see a future for him with the Denver Nuggets. Michael Malone's got to love this kid. I mean, he plays his ass off, and Malone loves that. And he had another pretty good game tonight, 5 for 9 from the field, 12 points, 3 rebounds. I mean, they're not stellar numbers by any means, but nobody was hustling more on the Nuggets roster tonight than Spencer Jones was. So that was really cool to see. He played 29 minutes tonight. That's how banged up the Nuggets are right now. But also, I think this is Malone giving him a chance to kind of showcase what he can do. It kind of reminds me a little bit, and they're different circumstances, but it does remind me a little bit about the championship season when the Nuggets were playing Peyton Watson, but you just kind of knew that was like, hey, let's see what this kid can give the team. And if we like what we see, we'll give him a shot next year. And that's ultimately what ended up happening. He actually played quite a bit down the stretch of the regular season, if you remember. Now, at that point, the Nuggets had locked up the number 1 seed. I get it. But he played well enough to where I think the coaching staff felt comfortable having him be a part of the regular rotation the following season, which is what ended up happening. And I think Peyton Watson has been pretty good so far this year. Obviously, he was out for a month with an injury, but I do see that being a possibility with Spencer Jones. I really do like what I've seen from him, other than his jump shot. I know he's shot well in the G League from outside, from beyond the arc, but my goodness, does he have a funky looking jump shot? I mean, it's an awkward jump shot. There's no doubt about it. And, the good news is hopefully he can kind of refine that over the offseason, but his release is too slow. He's kind of got a hitch at the top of his shot. But other than that, I've actually been really impressed with what I've seen from Spencer Jones. So, shout out to him, because this is his chance to prove to the coaching staff that he can play in this league. And so far, I know it's only been 2 games, but you've got to think that the coaching staff has really liked what they've seen from Spencer Jones. The Nuggets just, after the first quarter, I thought they actually played well enough to win this game. That first quarter just doomed them. 46-29 at the end of the first quarter. It was all but over at that point. So I give the team credit for battling back, but it just goes to show you, unfortunately, with Joker missing these games, it's less and less likely, in my opinion, that he's going to win the MVP, even though I think he should. He's averaging a triple-double, which is, only been done 2 other times in NBA history and never been done by a center. I mean, his season has just been unbelievable. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably going to win the MVP this year, although I disagree with that. And that's not to take anything away from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's a tremendous player. I think he's the best one-on-one scorer in the NBA today. He's a great player. But my point is, this game tonight, the Warriors game, you didn't feel it as much. I think the Nuggets just came out in that game with so much effort and energy, and they jumped on the Warriors like right off the bat. That was kind of just a one-off. But tonight's game really showcases just how important Nikola Jokic is. And Aaron Gordon in the first half tried to have that little inlet pass that Joker's so good at. Instantly gets turned over. The Lakers score on the other end. And actually, Scott Hastings mentioned it on the broadcast. He's like, that's where you're missing Nikola Jokic. And other areas, obviously, as well. But just little things like that is what, I think we as fans and media members take for granted what Nikola Jokic does, because he makes it look so damn easy. But I tell you what, if this isn't a case for Nikola Jokic being the MVP, I mean, I don't know what is, because the offense just looked really stuck in the mud at various points throughout the night. Aaron Gordon, though, I tell you what, boy, is he playing well. And the good news for the Nuggets, I don't know if you caught it, but after their last game in Golden State, he was interviewed in the locker room, and he said that this is the best he's felt all year. And he's like, I finally feel like I'm getting healthy again, which is great news, because they obviously need Aaron Gordon. And he was absolutely phenomenal again tonight. 9 of 14 shooting from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. He's been tremendous from beyond the arc this year. It's been his best 3-point shooting season, no doubt, all season long. So that was really good to see from Aaron Gordon tonight. 26 points, 11 rebounds, also had a steal in there. It just wasn't enough. It just simply was not enough to propel the Nuggets to a victory tonight. And I'll tell you this, man, Luka Doncic, what is Nico Harrison thinking right now? You've got to wonder, what are Mavs fans thinking right now? Why in the world? And I said, this isn't me being hindsight, because I said this the second they made the trade. And I know a lot of people said this when the Mavericks traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers. What in the world was he thinking? A 25-year-old superstar just entering his prime for a 31-year-old Anthony Davis. Man, this is just a bummer for Nuggets fans, because I know we hate the Lakers so much, and they get a fleece of a trade. I mean, it was one of the most incompetent trades I can ever remember. It might not be quite as bad as the Rockies paying the Cardinals $50 million to take Nolan Arenado at the time, but it's up there. So this is going to be a problem for the Nuggets over the next couple of years, I'm telling you. And I don't think LeBron is retiring anytime soon. And by that, I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere for at least another 2 seasons. The way he's playing, I know he's hurt right now, but the way he's been playing this year at age 40, nobody's ever been a better 40-year-old NBA player than LeBron is this year. And he might slow down a little bit. I mean, obviously, I think that's going to be inevitable. But even when LeBron starts to really slow down, I still think he's going to be effective, at least for the next 2 seasons. So this is going to be a serious problem for the Nuggets over the next couple of years. The Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves pairing, who's just turned into a star, an absolute star for the Los Angeles Lakers. Undrafted Austin Reeves. How about that? And he has just been absolutely tremendous for them as the Lakers get the 120-108 victory over the Denver Nuggets. Last thing before we hear from Michael Malone from our show yesterday on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. So I've been talking about all season long. It's kind of been my theme of the Nuggets this year. And I think it's, in my opinion, it's the most important thing to look at with this team. Because at the end of last year, like I've talked about, Michael Malone, I think, ran this team into the ground. And by Game 6, really, of the Timberwolves series, I think this team was absolutely done, exhausted, both mentally and physically. They just come off a championship season, the longest season most of these guys have ever had in their careers. And Malone played them monster minutes last year. He said after the season, he was asked, did you run your team into the ground? And he said, I might have, and I'll have to think about that. Well, going into this year, I said, will Malone learn a lesson from that? So far, it appears that he's still kind of doing what he's always done and playing these guys just absolutely monster minutes. My hope for the rest of this road trip, and a lot of fans aren't going to like me saying this, but I don't care because I think it will benefit the team in the long run. I don't think Jamal Murray or Nikola Jokic should play the remaining 2 games on this road trip. They've got Portland coming up on Friday, and they've got the Houston Rockets coming up on Sunday. And I get it. The Nuggets are in a tight race in the Western Conference standings with the Houston Rockets. So I get that game is very important as far as the standings go. But I've been saying all season long, I don't care if the Nuggets fall to the 5 or the 6 seed. As long as they are, if that happens, it's because they're resting their stars and they're getting them as healthy as they possibly can and ready to go for the playoffs. I would much rather see the Nuggets be the 5 or 6 seed and have these guys rested, healthy, ready to go come playoff time versus trying to grind it out like they did last year to get the 2 seed. By the way, Oklahoma City locked up the 1 seed tonight. So that's over. Houston won tonight. Obviously, the LA Lakers beat the Nuggets tonight. So the Nuggets did fall to the 4 seed. Now, they are only a game back of Houston, and they're technically tied as far as games back in the standings go with the LA Lakers. Now, the Lakers do hold the tiebreaker because of tonight's win, and they're a game up on Memphis. Now, they're 3.5 games up on the Golden State Warriors, who they hold the tiebreaker over. So they're technically 4.5 games up over Golden State. I would really, if I were Malone, I would seriously consider just shutting down Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic for the remaining 2 games. I don't really care about the standings at this point. Now, to the degree of they've got to get at least the 6 seed. I don't want to see them fall into the play-in tournament, okay? That's kind of my line in the sand. But I'd rather them be the 6 seed and rested and healthy and ready to go as much as they possibly can be at this point of the season than try and grind it out and retake the 2 seed over the Lakers and the Houston Rockets. And I know a lot of fans are going to say, well, home court. We need home court. The Nuggets had home court in the second round against the Timberwolves last year, and they lost 3 games at home. I don't think home court is as advantageous as it used to be. Now, I'm not saying it's not advantageous. I think it is. But would you rather have home court and a higher seed and the team be, banged up, exhausted heading into the playoffs, or have the 5 or the 6 seed and healthy and ready to go? I know what my answer is because we saw this movie play out at the end of last season. We saw this exact scenario play out at the end of last season. And they lost in Game 7 in the second round to the Minnesota Timberwolves because they were just done. So anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I do want to play this clip from our radio show on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5, Columbus, Hastings, and DMAC, noon to 3. We have Coach Malone on once a week on our show. And if you're paying attention to the NBA world, there was a bit of a firestorm created by ESPN's Tim Bontemps yesterday, basically where he said, if you missed it, just catching you up, basically he said, it's a shame that the Nuggets didn't play Nikola Jokic against the Warriors on national TV, and it's an embarrassment for the team and for the league, and this is not okay. First of all, like I said earlier on in the program, Nikola Jokic has played more games than anybody in the NBA since the 2016-17 season. That's not what this is. He is legitimately hurt. And I have sources that have told me exactly that, okay? I have legitimate, credible sources that have said this is not load management. He is dealing with legitimate injuries that have been bugging him for a while now. So that's not what this is. And the comments from ESPN's Tim Bontemps were just absolutely ridiculous. Well, we ended up asking Michael Malone about those comments, and I want to share what he had to say about Tim Bontemps' comments from ESPN.
All right, we're going to let you go because we're going to talk about an idiot from ESPN who said that it was a disgrace to the NBA that you didn't play Jokic last night. And
you should be embarrassed.
Yeah, you should be embarrassed and humiliated. Some of these ESPN guys, coach.
Somebody really said that?
Do you want to hear it?
I don't want to hear it. I just want to know who said it.
Bontemps, whatever his name is, Bontemps, last name Bontemps.
Tim Bontemps.
You know what the best thing about that is? I don't even know who that is.
All right.
I mean, so that speaks to that, but that is just an asinine comment. Nikola Jokic has been the most available player in the NBA in the last 10 years, and no other three-time MVP plays nearly as many games as Nikola Jokic.
Correct.
And for him to say that, it just speaks to the ignorance that some of these people have.
That's right, and that's what we're going to do, too. We're going to have fun ripping on him because it's so bizarrely misguided and untrue that you do wonder what these guys are thinking when they're getting on TV. It's seriously.
Well, matter of fact, you said the game doesn't even matter because you didn't play your starters.
It's so ridiculous, Coach. I won't even bother with it. Maybe you'll come across it. Maybe you won't.
Okay, so there's the clip that I was talking about, and what a response there from Nuggets head coach Michael Malone. I don't even know who that guy is. I mean, that's just classic Michael Malone. I absolutely love that. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is a perfect example of tell me you don't watch the Nuggets without telling me you don't watch the Nuggets. Like, you watch maybe a couple of games a season, right? It would be like me saying, hey, watch this TV series, okay, or season. Let's just say season. Watch the season of whatever show you want to say, The Office, and analyze that season for me, okay? Well, if you only watch one episode, how are you going to analyze the entire season? It's just ridiculous. So I'm just sick and tired of these ESPN morons that don't watch the games, that don't follow the team closely, have idiotic comments like this guy did. Nikola Jokic, like I said, I have credible sources that have told me this information. This is not load management. These are several nagging injuries that Nikola Jokic is dealing with. Malone said before the game today, if Nikola Jokic could play in this game, he'd be playing in this game. He just simply can't. So, I mean, that's not the greatest news to hear because it means obviously he's hurting worse than he let on, or not even that he let on, just worse than it seemed because he's been playing so damn well. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. My guy Miller Light says the Nuggets would be a bottom 5 team without Joker. You're probably right. You're probably right. Maybe bottom 10. I don't know if it would be bottom 5, but they would not be a playoff team. I'll just say it that way. They would not be a playoff team without Nikola Jokic. And again, if that's not a case for the most valuable player in the league, I don't know what is. If you take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander off the Thunder, yeah, they're not as good. They're definitely still a playoff team. I mean, there's no question about it. They're probably still a top 4 seed in the West if Shai doesn't play all season long. So this whole Jokic is sitting out and it's ridiculous and it should be embarrassing is just stupid. It's just absolutely stupid. Anyways, that's my TED Talk. All right, before we get out of here, I'd like to get to some of your comments tonight. Let's see here. The Loop Digga says, couldn't watch tonight. Is AG officially back? Well, it sure seems like he is. And if you missed it earlier, the Loop, after the Golden State game, Aaron Gordon was interviewed in the locker room, and he said it's the best he's felt all season. He finally feels like he's getting healthy again, which is great news. Now the question is Jamal Murray and Nikola. I suspect that Nikola will be fine sooner rather than later. The big question mark for me right now is Jamal Murray, because like I said, I was at the Wizards game when he twisted that ankle, and he was in excruciating pain. In fact, he actually got up and walked down the tunnel, and I was like, oh, he's going back to the locker room. I don't know if he did go back to the locker room. I doubt he did, because he came back so quickly. He was probably just trying to walk it off in the halls of Ball Arena is my assumption. But I tell you what, the fact that he even came back into that game was shocking to me, with the way his facial expressions. I mean, he was in agonizing pain. So that's the one I'm really worried about right now is Jamal. I think Joker will be okay. We'll see. I don't know, but watching Nikola Jokic play basketball over the last decade has taught me that dude is as tough as they come. And so is Jamal Murray, by the way. Okay, let's see here. Worst feeling right now. That's from Cedric. Yeah, I guess I don't really share that sentiment just about tonight's game. And Cedric, correct me if I'm wrong. Tonight's game is just kind of like, it is what it is. Like, this is exactly what I was expecting to happen tonight. And I don't mean to be pessimistic. I would say I'm actually, for the most part, pretty optimistic just in general. But going into tonight's game, I just had a feeling, like, right as the game started, I was like, the Nuggets don't have a shot tonight. And they didn't. Luka being back, and then he gets 20 points in the first quarter. The Lakers outscored the Nuggets 46-29. Look, they gave a valiant effort after the first quarter. They did. They really buckled down on defense. They kept turning the ball over in the second quarter, which didn't help their cause. But they really did buckle down on the defensive end. Just the hole they dug themselves in that first quarter was just insurmountable. So I'm more worried about the bigger picture versus just tonight's game. Tonight's game, just throw it up and throw it in the trash. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the bigger picture is really what I'm thinking about right now as far as this team goes. Health-wise, where is this team mentally? Because the playoffs are going to be here right around the corner. And I just want to see this team look like they have a shot to compete and get out of the West. That's what my goal is for them for the rest of the regular season. Number one, it's just get healthy and get rest. That's priority number one. Number two, try to look like the Nuggets are capable of looking like before they get into the playoffs, because it's really hard to flip that switch in the playoffs. I think it would definitely be better if this team showed signs of, hey, they have a chance once they get into the playoffs, but we shall see. My guy Kevin, hey DT, appreciate you listening, buddy. Jamal will be back. Well, we'll see. I mean, like I said, he could be back on Friday night. I have no idea. I'm just telling you, that ankle turn looked nasty, and the way Jamal reacted after that was very concerning to me. But he's a tough guy. He really is. He's physically tough, and he's very mentally tough. So we'll see. I hope you're right. Kevin also says, I'm still confident that the Nuggets will be NBA champions this year. Wow. I wish I shared that confidence with you. Look, excuse me. If the Nuggets show me the last 6-7 games of the regular season that they're healthy, they're rested, Joker and Jamal are back, Michael's shooting the ball out from outside better, I will be right there with you. But I don't know how you can have that level of confidence, at least right now, in this team's ability to win a championship. I just don't see it today, as we're sitting here right now. Of course, things can change. I mean, with the way this team has been going this year, my God, one night I think they can win the title. The next night I think they need to possibly blow it up. I mean, that's just how wild of a ride this season has been. Mr. Punch Rock Groin, appreciate you listening. It's turnovers every game, win or lose. You know what? You're right. I've been talking about this. This hasn't just been an issue this year for the Nuggets. There's two main things for me that have been plaguing the Nuggets over the last really 5 or 6 seasons. Perimeter defense and turnovers. And I'll throw a third in there, just sort of overall inconsistency from everybody but Nikola Jokic. Those are kind of my 3 things that have really been plaguing the Denver Nuggets over the last 5 or 6 seasons. But you're right. The turnovers are just killing this team right now. And look, every team's going to turn the ball over in the NBA. But what you don't want to see is exactly what we saw tonight in Los Angeles. Having the opposing team turn those turnovers into points on the other end. I remember Coach Malone said, I think it was last year, their goal is to try to limit teams to 15 points or less in the points off of turnovers margin. And like I said, I don't know what the final tally was tonight, but at some point in the third quarter, the Lakers had 26 points off of Nuggets turnovers in the third quarter. So it's way too many. Way, way, way too many. Kevin says, what did Ted Lasso say? You've got to believe. All right. I mean, hey, look, I like the optimism. I'm just trying to be as honest as I possibly can with all of you because I just don't see it right now. And I hope this team proves me wrong as we go. Look, I'll give you a little bit of optimism here. Anytime you have Nikola Jokic on your team, you've got a shot. Okay, now to what degree that shot is, I don't know. But anytime you have a healthy, mostly healthy and rested Nikola Jokic, you have a chance. Okay, you have a chance. But they're going to need Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray to really step it up, be more consistent, get Jamal healthy, and then we can talk. Let's see here. DJ Robo says those are the people that are down about tonight's loss. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. You can be down about tonight's loss. I'm not, because I was not 100%, 95% certain that the Nuggets did not have a chance in tonight's game. It just is what it is, especially with Luka being back. The Nuggets just did not have the bodies on the defensive end to contain Luka Doncic, and that clearly was the case early on. My dog. I like that. Oh, hold on real quick. Natural Tal says 30 points off turnovers total. Okay, thank you. So I believe Malone said his number was he wanted it to be around 15. So the Lakers got double the amount of points off turnovers tonight that he wants this team to try to limit the opposition to. It's just clearly been an issue, and that's absolutely way too many. I mean, you cut that down. If that's the 15 marker, if they only allow the 15, the Nuggets win this game. There you go. So the turnovers and the points off turnovers have been abysmal this year, and that's really plaguing this team. My dog says, do we have a PD coach who could show MPJ how to block out for the love of God? Yes. You know, it's weird because over the last couple of years, I really do think Michael Porter Jr. has made certain strides on the defensive end, and he was making a concerted effort to really be active around the rim as far as blocking out, rebounding, driving to the lane on the offensive end when a shot's not falling. Those are stuff that's sort of faded away over the last couple of weeks. Those are not good habits that Michael Porter Jr. is falling back into. When his shot isn't falling, I love to see Michael drive to the rim, because you're either going to draw a foul or you're going to see a layup go in, and then maybe that gets your confidence going to see the ball go through the hoop, and then your outside shot starts falling. So Michael Porter Jr., like I said, look, this team, he's got to average at least 20 points a game in the playoffs for this team to be realistic contenders. 20 points a game. I don't think that's asking too much from Michael Porter Jr., and I think he has the capability of doing that, but he's got to find a way to get his confidence back. It's clearly non-existent right now. When you have a game like tonight, Michael Porter Jr. has got to understand that he's got to score the ball. I mean, he has to score the basketball in games like this with no Nikola Jokic and no Jamal Murray. And he just didn't come out with that aggressive mindset tonight. So that was disappointing to see. But that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Nuggets fall to the Lakers 120-108 is your final. The Nuggets do fall to the 4 seed in the West after tonight's loss, but they're right there. I mean, these standings are going to be changing a lot over the course of the next couple of weeks before we get into the playoffs. So Friday at Portland, Sunday at Houston. We'll see if Nikola Jokic and or Jamal Murray play in those games. I hope they do not. But knowing Coach Malone, I would be surprised if they didn't play in at least one of those games. So we shall see. But we'll catch you coming up on Friday. That's another 8 o'clock game. Don't you love these West Coast late season, regular season games where it's 8 p.m. starts? I mean, they did get rid of the 8:30 start, so I guess I'll take it. But my goodness, NBA, start the games earlier. We're getting old, and I'm getting tired, okay? But that's just me being selfish. But really appreciate everybody listening tonight. We'll be back coming up on Friday night to react to Nuggets and Blazers right here on In the Paint, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.